Tom and the others had ceased their chatting, as the discussion inside the tent had started heating up, even if they couldn't hear most of it. Himself, Jackie and Jordan were sitting around one of the small campfires, relaxing a bit after a long day's work. Yrrol was still sleeping soundly, even as Gleever's crew were putting the finishing touches on the latest set of bandages. "I can see why Essie likes Coco so much," Jackie says, as she looked back over her shoulder at the tent.
"Knowledge is power," Jordan simply added, though clearly not pleased. "And that kid is an idiot."
"Okay?" Jackie questioned, turning back to look at him. Tom also giving the Major a curious glance.
"He knows what she can do, and he's scared."
"And what's that exactly?" Tom questioned, tilting forwards, leaning on his thighs.
"That she can kill as easy as you can sneeze," Jordan replied flatly. "At least one day if she's good at this."
"What? It's not like you can tell me to just break my own neck," Jackie scoffed, clearly not buying it.
"There is nothing voluntary about it if she's strong enough. He lost some grandparents to it. I ended up having to hunt down someone in the end. His grandma, I think. She was apprehended by the city guard after the incident, and when she worked out what the likely sentence was going to be, she used her magic to make a guard help her escape."
"Did she hurt anyone getting out?" Jackie questioned, suddenly seeming more interested.
"No, she was skilled and by no means as dumb as he is. She knew what her power could do, but apparently she had grown complacent with it. She didn't respect it, as such. She made a mistake."
"A murder by accident, then?" Tom added with a slight nod.
"In a sense. I was tasked with finding her, which I did eventually. She was a damn slippery one once she went on the run. But as far as I can tell, she didn't hurt anyone directly. I can respect that."
"So what happened to her? What might happen to Feng if she slips up?"
"She was handed over to the Inquisition and posthumously executed for being a threat and a murderer."
"What do you mean posthumously?" Tom asked, looking to Jackie for an indication if he's fucked up a word that time.
"You cannot lock up people like that or sentence them to labour. It's either a slap on the wrist or the long way down. And if they know they are going to die, they pose a massive threat to those holding them captive for even a short time. The verdict is made ahead of time, and then they are hunted down and killed. Yet the body is still thrown off for the sake of tradition."
"Fucking hell," Jackie let out quietly with an understanding nod. "And this makes Unkai an idiot how?" Tom questioned, hoping there was some twist to the story.
"Because the kid loves her, at least for now. She needs all the help she can get to learn to live with all this."
"And he's really not helping," Tom sighed in reply, straining his back at the sound of a zipper. He and Jackie looked over their shoulders at the tent as Saf's head poked out. "So, is it a decent evening, or how's it looking?" Saf questioned, with a rather fake-looking smile as she exited, Essie following close behind. "Not half bad. I don't like the look of those clouds, though," Jackie replied, glancing north. "Well, it's too cold to sleep under open sky anyway," Saf sighed, going to sit down at the fire too. "So, anything interesting to talk about?" They all stared at the tent for a second. "You heard all of it, didn't you?" Saf then let out with a sigh, ears going droopy as she looked into the fire, Essie also sitting down silently.
"Did he at least smarten up a little?" Jordan questioned,
his tone low yet serious. "Well, he got in the bag with her, that's a start." "A start?" Essie added, shaking her head. Jordan just nodded. "We were just talking about other enchantresses that Jordan here knows about," Tom replied, trying to sound a bit more cheerful, even if it hadn't been the most cheery of subjects thus far. "Yeah, like, how many are there even?" Jackie questioned, clearly wanted to try and liven the mood up a little.
"I have no idea. But once there are, already disclose their abilities. Imagine a diplomatic meeting. Most people would be uncomfortable with having such a person present."
"Makes sense, I guess." "You don't even have a guess, though?" Tom pushed. He really wanted to know just what it would mean that a talent was very rare. Was that tens, hundreds, or maybe even still thousands of dragonets who could do this? The Major seemed to ponder it for a second before sighing.
"I don't know. Maybe 50, maybe 100. Maybe there are no more than 10 that are actually practicing. I know of 5 now that are alive, counting Fangi."
"And how many have you killed?" Saf asked, staring at him. He just returned her gaze, not moving for a second or two.
"Only one by my own hand. And I have a feeling most of the ones I captured are still around. They are too useful."
"Does that include, you know?" Tom went, giving a sideways nod towards the tent.
"Yes, I don't think she's dead. With how beaten up the body was they threw over the edge, it could have been anyone. But if so, she's now working for the Inquisition, not the Royal Court."
"Wait, what?" Saf asked, looking around at them confused.
"Unkai's grandmother. I'd be willing to bet she still lives, at least if she hadn't died of old age or some other reason," Jordan replied. "I was the one that hunted her down back in the day."
"Do you think he knows?" Jackie asked, sounding quite conflicted right now, Saf just sat there pondering, Essie not looking like she knew how to take that either.
No, nor does it matter. I'll have a chat with him in the morning before he does any more damage. Might be able to spin a tale or two of the boons that can lie in store too if that girl plays her cards right.
I wouldn't mind some boons, Jackie chuckled softly, before looking back into the fire and unfurling her wings a little to catch more of the heat as the flames flickered. Wind's picking up again. I guess we should have asked Raoul if there was another storm coming, Tom sighed, looking up at the darkening sky. The sun was long gone, but it wasn't quite dark yet, and there were certainly a lot of clouds to the east. But I think we'll be fine on the boons front. We just need it to make it through whatever is coming.
Either it rains or it doesn't, Jordan sighed, getting up. I'll be in my tent if you need me. I want to be up early tomorrow.
Good night, Saf replied, scooting over to take his place, which had a bit less smoke billowing through it. So then, where are we sleeping? Jackie asked, inching a bit closer to Tom, wrapping him up in one wing. Your tent seems to have been captured already. Well, I thought they would be taking Fengi back home, and Saf too for that matter, Tom defended himself. How was he supposed to know? Infirmary's full and all the geeks who know what's going on are out here save for a puma, Saf added with a shrug. Don't you think the poor guy's going to feel lonely? Essie asked with a careful chuckle. Saf just snorted, pulling a smile. Maybe. I think he's just enjoying the bed all to himself, though. There are still some spots in there if people want, she continued, flicking her snout back at the tent. And some over in Gliver's crew's tent, too, Jackie added. Oh, don't make me sleep with the soldiers, Saf chuckled. Micah is bad enough. Oh, no, Tom, we're running out of tents, Jackie sniggered, giving Tom a poke in the side. We don't want to sleep with this many soldiers. They fart and everything, Saf added, equally teasing. Essie just shook her head, pulling a smile as Tom did his best to sigh loudly. Yeah, I get it. Well, maybe one day we'll find a blueprint for a magic pop-up tent down below. Dibs, Jackie half shouted, raising her head towards the sky just as the first drops started falling, her expression turning to one of defeat. Ah, no. Yeah, let's find some cover. Think Glera would be helpful? Tom asked, standing up. Only if you stop bitching about how I fight, the dragon rumbled, lying by herself a ways off, curled up in the grass. Her crew had seemingly abandoned work in a drill, likely due to the waning light, and with the coming rain, they were all making for the tents. If you'll keep the rain off us, I'll make him shut up, Jackie chuckled, not getting up. A temporary truce then, Tom added with a shrug, looking at Glera, who had raised her head to look at him. Fine, just keep the fire lit, I'm cold too, she sighed, moving over in a few short steps and spreading a massive wing out over their little campfire. And don't burn me, that would be embarrassing. Yes, ma'am, Tom nodded in reply, as the slowly dripping rain went away. Ha! Now we're camping properly, Jackie chuckled as she got up. I'll fetch the bedrolls and sleeping bag. It was still a bit colder out there than in the tent, Glera added, looking down at them all. Jack and I will stay outside. We'll be fine. Damn hot rock, Saf chuckled, looking into the fire and poking some of the stones in the brim with a stick. I'll stick out here for a bit longer, then head inside. The fire is nice. Good morning, Saf heard Fengi squeak out as she felt the young woman stretch next to her. What time is it? Work time, Saf sighed. She really couldn't stay in here even if the tent was so nice and warm now that the sun had gotten up. It had sucked so bad that she needed to be woken up every few hours thanks to this whole concussion thing. She felt fine, if a little sick at times, but it had at least been an excuse to sleep in. Right, Fengi added with slightly less enthusiasm. I guess we need to get to it. Where is Unkai? Up and about already. You couldn't stay in here with us lazy girls after all. How are you feeling? Better, Fengi replied, not sounding entirely convincing. It will be fine, I'm sure. You basically just got blessed by a unicorn yesterday. Not many that can brag about that, Saf tried in her most encouraging tone. I guess so, Fengi replied with a mild sigh. Just saying that aloud sounds insane. If the church ever finds out, they'll make you a high priestess or something. Can't those only be, like, completely white people? Albino? I don't know. I think they will make an exception for you, though, or come up with some other title. Imagine that. A street girl playing being a priest. I think you would make a damn fine priest. Even if the robes will look ridiculous on you, Saf sniggered, worming over and giving Fengi a poke with her snout. Hey, I think I would look great in one of those robes. Just think of all the snacks you could hide under there, Fengi replied with a snigger, turning over to look at Saf in her little cocoon of comfort with some effort. No one would ever know. Maybe you can get a prayer started so you can snack in peace. Oh, have jerky in the censer. Oh, they would kill you, Snap sniggered. Not if I'm holy. Nah, I don't think that's worth the hassle. What, to have your every whim cared for? No, to be surrounded by nothing but religious nutjobs all day long. I'm fine with a bit of praying, but... Gonna be a bit much? Saf tried, looking to give her a less heretical way out of that one. Yeah, bit much, Fengi replied with a smile and a nod. Anyway, I think we do need to get going, Saf said, as she went to extract the now cold hot rocks from her sleeping bag. All wrapped up in leather sheets and some extra cloth so as not to risk burning the precious human silk, nylon or whatever it was. Fengi also started to rummage around in her bag, and before too long Saf poked her head out of the tent flap to see plenty of activity going on. Yrrol was still just lying there, seemingly asleep. At the centre of camp, Glira was also still snoozing, though people were already busy running around. Right, let's get a move on, Saf went, forcing some enthusiasm into her voice, climbing out and doing her morning stretches. Fengi followed suit, though a bit less enthusiastically. Good morning, you two. Or noon. Feeling better? Maiko half laughed at them from behind the tent, surprising Saf. Well, I was till you showed up, she replied with a snarky smile, going back to her side stretches. Fengi just nodding. Damn it, I knew I should have stayed home. Are we ready to go? He asked, looking at her and Fengi. I think so, Saf replied, looking at Fengi, who just shrugged and glanced at Yrrol before looking at the ground. I guess. Oh, cheer up, please, Saf tried getting her attention. Please? Fengi did pull a bit more of a smile, though Saf had little trouble telling it was fake. I'll let the old man know, Maiko added, before setting off in a trot towards the lodger tent. The two of them had just started making their way over to Yrrol, looking at the huge wounded dragon. What do you think Celestine did? Fengi asked in a careful voice. She really didn't feel happy. I have no idea, Saf replied truthfully, looking at the stricken dragon. What did it feel like? You know, having her in your head. It was so strange. It was like I was hearing everything she thought. Well, feeling it more like. So you actually tried being in the head of a unicorn? Saf asked, looking at her friend, brows raised. I think so, Fengi answered meekly, looking like she shrank a little under Saf's stare. Saf quickly turned away, looking back to Yrrol as her ears swiveled, picking up the sound of boots behind her. Morning, Tom. Morning, Tom replied as she turned around, eyes locked into Major Jordan, currently standing on top of Glira's head. The hell? She let out, tilting her head at the odd display as the Major stamped on Glira's face, getting only an annoyed rumble in reply. Someone is not a morning person, Fengi let out with a careful chuckle. Eventually, the Major did succeed in rousing Glira, the old blue letting out one hell of a yawn as the Major jumped off. Right, who needs killing? She questioned, much to Saf's alarm as she looked around the camp, eyes landing on Yrrol. Right, fucking hell, Backpicture is watching, she let out, getting to her feet before shaking herself awake for a second, livening up as she walked past them to take up station on the far side of Yrrol. Nothing like a bit of torture to start the morning. Saf could hear Tom's sigh next to her as the Major came trotting up, Lancaster joining them as well, coming over, pencil out already. Morning. Morning, they all replied before turning their attention to Yrrol. Wake her up, would you? Jordan said, looking up at Glira. Wait, just try with her asleep first, Lancaster added, holding up a hand. You never know. Right. Well, Fengi, all yours, the Major replied, gesturing at the black dragon as he looked at Fengi. Okay then. Yrrol, wake up. Fengi tried in a careful tone, not getting a reaction. Perhaps just a bit louder, Lancaster encouraged with a delicate smile on her face. Right, Yrrol, wake up! Fengi ordered more forcefully, the dragon's ears swelling up, listening to them, as if by command. Yrrol's eyes shot open. It took a second to focus before her gaze turned to stare at Fengi, otherwise not moving a muscle. Good morning, Fengi tried cautiously, waving at the dragon, not getting a reply. Try allowing her to speak, Lancaster added, sounding like she was barely containing her excitement. Okay, you may speak. I hate you! Yrrol roared to them as she glared at Fengi. Sorry, Fengi squeaked out, recoiling. Don't say you're sorry, she tried killing the Nook, Jackie protested, gesturing at Yrrol. She's a piece of shit, and she wants to kill us too, I bet. More than you know, Yrrol snarled, turning her gaze to Jackie for a second before switching back to Fengi. Look, the way I see it, you just got judged by a unicorn for being an asshole, yet she didn't kill you outright. So I think I kind of need to give you at least a chance now, Saf added, hoping to help Fengi however she could right now. You're fucking kidding, right? Jackie questioned, a sentiment that seemed to be echoed by most of the people present. Make her tell us what she knows and be done with her. Maybe just tell her to work the mines like a good little bitch until the day she dies. We don't know if this quite works like that, Lancaster added, for once looking rather conflicted. No, she thinks we're the bad guys. Why not just show we aren't? Fengi protested, raising up her arms and her voice. We don't know if it works like that either, Gloucester pointed out. Gillespie did say servitude, Sap pointed out. Well, let's find out then, Finger replied. Turning back to Yrrol with seemingly renewed determination. So, Yrrol, you are not allowed to harm anyone without me saying so. Do you understand? There was no reply as Yrrol just glared at her, a slight smile creeping onto her face. Answer me when I ask you a question, and you will tell the truth. I understand, Yrrol replied, clearly against her will as she snarled. Very good. Now I am not evil, but apparently I am now in charge of you. I won't disappoint a unicorn. But if you keep being an arsehole like this, I'll be mean. But be nice, and I'll be nice too. This is a nice keep. We are good people. We have great fun, and there is so much stuff happening. And you are going to help. Do you understand? Yrrol just nodded in reply, as Vengi took a deep breath. Okay then. So to get started, who sent you? I don't know, Yrrol replied cautiously, before pulling an evil grin and glaring down at Vengi, who seemed to think for a second. Well, were you hired then? Yes. Okay, by who? I don't know, Yrrol asked, her grin widening. Do you have an idea? Vengi tried again, after a second's thought. Yrrol tried not to reply, the words getting caught in her mouth, her grin disappearing. Tsarina Kosovo, I think, she then let out, while looking for all the world like she would tear them all apart if she got the chance. I hate you! Well, that was easy, Tom muttered to himself, as he looked around trying to gauge if anyone recognised that name. The sea of confused faces left him to just sigh. Well, maybe not then. Vengi, could you ask her who that is? Sure, Vengi replied with a nod, looking back at him for a second before turning to Yrrol again. Who is that? Yrrol once again tried to resist, though she did not last long before she answered forcefully. Prominent member of the Engineering Guild. Yrrol let out with a sigh before seeming to deflate. Pompous asshole with an affinity for backstabbing. Oh, not again, Jackie let out before she and Tom locked eyes. It's another damn flaxen. Why did she hire you? I don't know, Yrrol replied, seeming to have given up on resisting. Okay. Why do you think she did? I have no clue. I was tasked to recover drawings, any odd-looking items, and a strange man named Tom. Alive, she replied, her single eye looking on Tom. So it is not the Inquisition, then? Tom asked, looking at the Black Dragon. Vengi taking a second to catch on, relaying the question again much to Yrrol's evident annoyance. Not that I know. Well, that's something at least, Tom had to admit, thinking it over. Do you know, think, and or believe anything else about her? Vengi asked again, looking pleadingly up at the dragon. She is short like you and petite of build, fiercely competitive, very self-important, fairly rich and a self-made noble. She has 5 kids, most of them still young. Is often seen with a young white female dragon, who I believe is a kind of bodyguard for her. She also has guards with her much of the day. I believe she's paranoid after taking advantage of so many people. She pays very well and might like purple. Purple? Vengi asked, tilting her head, as if that was the strangest thing in there. Fucking girls, Tom just sighed, doing his best to come up with a solution to that whole situation. I saw her in the dress once. Vengi just stared at her for a second before looking back to Tom and the others. Will that do? Well, I'm pretty sure that's all she knows, Tom replied with a shrug. We can have a chat with Tink too once we get back. Ask her what she was paid, Tom replied, gesturing at Yrrol. Right, what did they pay you? 500 gold up front. The promise there will be plenty of loot here that she cared little for, and 500 more upon completion. She just wanted all the odd items and drawings, nothing else. 1,000 gold isn't much for 2 dragons and this much crew on a dangerous mission, Jordan added, Yrrol refusing to respond. Isn't that like 2 years' pay for Jarrex? Tom questioned, looking at the Major. He still had some problems working out what things were worth around here. Indeed, but that is with all his needs taken care of. A mercenaries rarely fly for honest pay. Tom kinda had to agree with that one. Killing for money was a lucrative business everywhere, it seemed. Jordan looked back to Yrrol, clearing his throat. Well? She refused to even look at him, instead starting to scan around everyone else present, gaze lingering on Tom for a bit. Okay, either you answer him or I force you to answer everyone until I make it stop, okay? Think you went, looking up at the dragon. Just play along. Never, Yrrol snarled in reply. Yrrol, answer every question asked of you. Vengi went, looking both saddened and disappointed as she looked back at the Major. He just nodded at her with a sombre expression on his face and repeated his question. I have worked with her before. Arrgh, I hate you, Yrrol roared. They were soon turned into a whimper. I knew this would be something special. The guy that actually came to hire me showed some of the things you had come up with. He told me of the guards stationed here. I knew you had to be sitting on something worth a fortune. All I had to do was snatch it.
What exactly was the report on us? Tom asked, looking at her curiously. He really wanted to know just what kind of image they had cultivated.
One young dragon stationed at the keep, likely necessary to take out. One combat wing patrolling the island. Wait till they are out, Yrrol replied with a whimper, though the snarl didn't leave her face for even a second this time.
How long did you sit and wait?
Not over a week. I had 2 scouts check you out daily. Would have struck sooner if not for that blasted party you held. Hey, Yrrol, do you dance? Jackie asked with a cocky grin on her face. No, you little bastard, she snapped in reply, the fire coming back into her eyes. Not unless it's on your cursed and rotting corpse. Oh, I think she did like the red guy. Jackie, Tom snapped in reply, looking up at her, and trying his best to look disappointed. She damn near killed the Nook. I don't give a fuck about her feelings, Jackie replied flatly. Hey, fuckface. How many people do you think you have killed? Don't answer that. Finky cut her off, right as Yrrol started to answer. What? Jackie asked, raising her hands in the air. Just, please don't. Finky tried, looking pleadingly back at Jackie. You aren't using your magic right now, right? Jackie asked, looking a touch perturbed at Finky. Damn it, woman, Tom cursed with himself, not able to do much out of fear of making it worse. No, I'm not, I think, Finky replied, looking down at the ground, ears drooping a bit. Just, I mean, come on, look at her. She can't do anything. And by the gods, it sounds like she'll be like this forever. Isn't that bad enough? Fine. But you better make her work her ass off or something if you want to keep her as a pet. She's a person too, goddammit, Finky protested, looking back to Yrrol pleadingly, the black dragon refusing to look at her. Just a shitty one? Yes, a shitty person, Finky snapped at Jackie with renewed determination, before turning back to Yrrol with a stern look on her face. Yrrol, why did you do it? I don't understand, the dragon replied dismissively, not acknowledging her. Why did you take the job? You're a damn dragon, and one that's apparently willing to fight too. That's debatable, Glira added with a huff as Finky sighed, glaring in the blue. Why did you take the job? You didn't need to, surely? Finky tried again, in a calmer tone. Because it works, Yrrol replied flatly, seeming completely disinterested. It works? Finky asked, looking a touch confused. I get what I need and want, and it's just me. No assholes to kick you out or turn you down. No wheels to run in, no sleds and cast a pole. I go out, I do one job, and I sit back and relax for months.
To make sure you are hard to find. No path to follow, just one hit then fade away, Jordan added, seeming more than a little understanding of what she had been doing.
Yes, precisely, she replied, glaring at the Major. So precious little fuckers like you won't find me.
I hate dragons like you. Damn shame Yilts isn't here to shout at you. It's drakes like you that's the reason Tiguan can't set foot in a keep without hands landing on hilts, the Major replied, his voice low.
Boo-hoo, grow a spine,
says the thief taken from those with the least to spare.
Well, what the hell can I do about it, huh? Riddle me that, you silver-eyed mayfly. You want to send me to the mines and get your precious little reward? Yrrol replied mockingly.
No. This will be worse. And a good lesson for Fengi too, I believe. You are being sentenced to servitude, so you will serve.
And in turn, she will be treated properly. Fengi shouted back at Jordan, seemed to take a second to realise what she had just done. I'm sorry.
Jordan, for his part, did look stunned for a second, before pulling a smile and nodding. I think you will do well, Fengi.